Have you ever looked up at a mountain and felt something stir inside you? That mix of awe and curiosity. A quiet voice asking, what would it feel like to stand on top of the world? Most of us grow up believing that there's one highest point on Earth, and that's Mount Everest. But the truth is, highest can mean very different things depending on how you measure, and in those differences lie stories. Stories of science, survival, strange discoveries, and spectacular beauty. Let's climb together, not just through altitude, but through perspective. We begin with the classic, Mount Everest, towering at 8,848.86 meters, 29,031.7 feet, above sea level. Located on the border between Nepal and the Tibet Autonomous Region of China, Everest is widely considered the roof of the world. For many, it symbolizes the ultimate human challenge, one that demands immense physical preparation, mental toughness, and a healthy dose of courage. But what people often overlook is just how fragile that summit experience really is. At the top of Everest, oxygen levels are only about 33% of what you're breathing right now. Climbers often spend weeks just acclimating, hiking to various camps and waiting for a narrow weather window. And when that moment finally comes, they get just 15 minutes at the top. Any longer, and the risk of death increases dramatically. Here's a lesser-known fact. Mount Everest is still growing. Thanks to the constant collision of the Indian and Eurasian tectonic plates, Everest gains a few millimeters of height each year. It's a living, shifting monument, not frozen in time, but becoming something even higher. Now let's turn our attention to a different kind of mountain, one that hides its greatness beneath the waves. Mauna Kea, located on the Big Island of Hawaii, is technically the tallest mountain in the world, measuring more than 10,210 meters, 33,500 feet, from its base on the ocean floor to its summit. That's taller than Everest by a significant margin. So why isn't Mauna Kea the one we all learn about? Because most of it is submerged beneath the Pacific Ocean. From sea level, Mauna Kea looks impressive but not overwhelming. It's only when you consider its full structure, base to tip, that it becomes a true titan. Interestingly, Mauna Kea is also home to some of the world's most powerful astronomical observatories. Its summit sits high above the thickest part of the Earth's atmosphere, providing some of the clearest skies on the planet. While Everest touches the sky, Mauna Kea peers beyond it, into the vastness of space. Now for something completely unexpected. What if I told you that the point closest to outer space on Earth isn't Everest, but a much shorter mountain in Ecuador? Meet Mount Chimborazo, standing at 6,263 meters, 20,548 feet above sea level. How can this be? The Earth isn't a perfect sphere. It's slightly flattened at the poles and bulging at the equator. Chimborazo sits almost directly on that equatorial bulge. So while it's shorter than Everest when measured from sea level, the summit of Chimborazo is actually the farthest point from the Earth's center, and thus closest to the stars. Imagine standing there, not at the tallest, but at the farthest. It's a beautiful reminder that where you stand and how you measure can completely change your story. Next, we head to the cold winds of Alaska, where Denali rises as North America's tallest peak at 6,190 meters, 20,310 feet. Formerly known as Mount McKinley, Denali is more than just tall, it's imposing. It has the greatest vertical rise of any mountain entirely above sea level. While Everest's base camp already sits at high altitude, Denali starts near sea level and soars up steeply into the clouds. Climbing Denali is no walk in the park. Temperatures can plunge to minus 60 degrees Celsius, and hurricane-force winds are not uncommon. Yet for geologists and climate scientists, Denali is a treasure. The glaciers around it preserve long-term atmospheric data, essentially acting as a frozen record of Earth's climate history. Every ice core pulled from its depths tells us a bit more about where our planet has been and where it might be going. Far to the south, in the endless whiteness of Antarctica, rises Vinson Massif, the continent's highest point at 4,892 meters, 16,050 feet. While not as tall as others, Vinson may be the most remote and extreme of all. With nearly 24 hours of daylight during climbing season, eerie stillness, and wind chills that can freeze skin in minutes, it feels more like walking on another planet than hiking on Earth. Only a few thousand people have ever summited Vinson, but beneath its icy surface lies something astonishing. Entire mountain ranges buried under miles of snow and ice. And below that, subglacial lakes that have been cut off from the atmosphere for millions of years, some potentially harboring microbial life forms that have never interacted with the modern world. It's a stark reminder that Earth's most extreme places often guard its oldest secrets. From the frozen ends of the Earth to the sunlit savannas of Tanzania, we arrive at Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest peak in Africa, at 5,895 meters, 19,341 feet. Unlike most of the world's tallest mountains, Kilimanjaro is a freestanding volcano, not part of any major range. That means it rises all alone, like a stone island in a sea of clouds. Climbers don't need ropes or oxygen tanks here. The real challenge is endurance and willpower. Hikers pass through lush rainforests, alpine meadows, barren moonscapes, and finally, icy glaciers, all in one journey. It's a surreal experience, but here's the heartbreaking part. Kilimanjaro's glaciers are melting, and fast. Some scientists believe they could disappear entirely within a few decades. Kilimanjaro is not just a peak, it's a visual warning of what climate change is doing to even the most iconic landmarks. And now for a peak you've probably never heard of, Mount Wilhelm, the highest mountain in Papua New Guinea and all of Oceania, standing at 4,509 meters, 14,793 feet. Unlike Everest or Kilimanjaro, Wilhelm isn't a global icon, but it is a marvel of biodiversity. Climbing Mount Wilhelm takes you through a stunning range of ecosystems. You'll start in tropical jungle, pass through cloud forests filled with orchids and birds of paradise, and eventually reach frosty alpine zones where silence reigns. Beyond its natural beauty, Mount Wilhelm holds cultural significance for the indigenous tribes who live near it. It's considered sacred, and legends are woven into its slopes. Scientists working in the region continue to discover new species found nowhere else on Earth, preserved by the mountain's isolation and diversity. Sometimes the world's best-kept secrets are hiding in plain sight. So, what is the true highest point on Earth? That depends on how you measure. Mount Everest is the highest above sea level. Mauna Kea is the tallest from base to summit. Chimborazo is the closest to outer space. Denali offers the greatest rise from ground to peak. Vinson Massif is the most remote and frozen. Kilimanjaro is iconic and melting. Mount Wilhelm is rich in life and lore. Each of these peaks challenges our understanding of scale, geography, and meaning. Some dominate headlines, others hide in silence. But every summit holds something sacred, a new way of seeing the world. Maybe the real question isn't what's the highest. Maybe it's, what are we looking for at the top? Are we chasing a view, a sense of peace, personal triumph, or a deeper understanding of the planet beneath our feet? The truth is, not all summits are made of rock. Some are built from discovery, from awe, from stories that shift how we see our place in the universe. So, what mountain will you climb next? If you enjoyed this journey and want to hear more fascinating stories about the world, its wonders, and the truths that lie just beyond reach, please like, share, and subscribe to this page. Your support helps these stories keep climbing. Share your moments with us, yes, even your deepest, darkest secrets. go.echtplum.com #syncrest #echtplum #tarsirpawikan.
Echt Plum.